look at that. Look at that. That is cool. Hey, thank you for tuning in. This is Fanboy Cantina Live, and we are talking about Moon Knight episode 4, and all spoiler all the time as we dive in. Mr. C, how are you doing today?
Pretty good. Let's go. There I was in the garage and I found the glow tape, and somehow the let's go mentality came to me. And so, our art director was saying, are we going to get a cosplay business going on? So, I just grabbed the glow tape and did what I had to do. But hey, I'm happy to be here again. We're mixing stuff up. Typically we would go for a weekend review of something that happened on a Wednesday. So we continue to play around with stuff a little bit, and good to go. Good to let's go. What's going on over in your neck of the woods, sir?
Well, I'm worried. Yeah, let's glow. So I'm a little worried about my internet connection because it got kind of glitchy there. So we'll see what Comcast brings for us tonight.
I
Um,
might have also been doing a tribute to our previous episode where we were half screen in the dark and half screen not in the dark. It might have been a little tribute reference to that also.
oh man, oh man. Well, so Mr. C, we just have 2 more episodes to go in the series. Seems like I guess it's same with all of these Disney Plus series, but it seems like there's a lot of ground to cover uh, with just a little bit left to go. I
Well,
don't know. What do you think about that?
what do I think about that? I think about, well, then toward the end of this episode, there was even the springboard into a great deal more ground to cover,
Yeah.
and with 2 episodes. So, good question. Are they going to be more half-hour length episodes, more 45, more 60-minute episodes? How much do they? Yes, yes. Episode 2 of the Dark. So yeah, there's a lot to cover. There is a lot to cover, and let's see what they do with it.
So I'm gonna ask, though you can probably already hear in my voice. How are you feeling about episode 4?
Well, for your tell, your giveaway. Uh,
Uh,
and so here, let's give the people, whoever might be checking in, whoever might be viewing, a little bit of a point counterpoint, a little bit of a differing viewpoint here. I
mhm.
thought, and referencing toward the end. So we had a lot of Indiana Jones. We had a lot of Mummy. We had a lot of horror influence. We had each episode is more violent than its predecessor. So there's all that going on. And then we get to the most Lemire and Smallwood of all the Lemire and Smallwoods, and I'm referencing the comics Moon Knight Volume 8, written by Jeff Lemire and primarily penciled by, is Dan, is his first name, but Mr. Smallwood on the pencils. Uh, Everything gets flipped around, and we're not supposed to know what is real and what is not. And that was so great for me. That was
Uh-huh.
so great to see that rendered onto the screen. So that was, as the legend John Schnepp would say, they went full sweaty. It was totally sweaty, and that's my read on it. And but what might another viewer? How might another view? How
Yeah, the
might
com-
somebody else interpret this episode for?
yeah, well, and in the comments, yeah, watch all 4 episodes. I still don't know what is real or what's not. Is this live? Yes, this episode is live.
Here
Yeah,
comes the blue Sasquatch, man.
yeah, yeah. I felt like this was the most clunky written episode yet. I felt like it was tonally off compared to the other episodes that we have seen. It felt like, and I think it actually was, it was directed by somebody completely different than the previous episode. I felt I didn't like this episode. I, the violence, and you raise a good point. With Moon Knight, he is a violent character. He is a violent character, and so yeah, I hadn't picked up on it, but yeah, it does seem like the violence is getting turned up a notch as we go through this thing, right? But in this case, the violence was more from Layla than from Moon Knight. Um, but I think there's like core elements that I had issues with in the first 3 episodes that now I'm tired of. I'm actually tired of some of them. I'm tired of Arthur Harrow just sort of popping out of nowhere. Some of the storytelling I felt was just goofy. Yeah, it didn't work for me. I'm gonna obviously I'm gonna still stick around and see the end of this series, but yeah, it threw me out. And from Junkyard, besides Layla and Taweret, there was nothing redeeming about this episode. Steven's mumbling Egyptian lore sucked. Yeah, there was a lot of exposition that actually didn't seem to make a whole heck of a lot of sense. And maybe I'm getting feeble-minded or something else, but I just kind of okay. Uh, we picked up from Mark getting shot, and now they're driving through the desert to get to the tomb. But I don't fully get the story of why it's panning out this way. Um, anyways, so I guess we can. All right. Um, Okay. Yeah, there are some definite scary parts. And yeah, with the end of this episode, so we're hopping around a little bit, but with the end of the episode, you kind of wonder, was all of the first three just all in Mark's head? Which I don't believe is the case, but yeah. So anyways, long story, long way of getting to it. Yeah, it didn't work for me that well.
All right. Well, hey, it didn't work for you. You got to call it what it is. It did work for me. I got to call it what it is. I guess we're in a more Siskel and Ebert territory tonight. We got one thumb clearly up and one thumb clearly down. Uh, okay, that I can't counterpoint the stuff you're saying. It's just like that wasn't at the forefront of what I was looking at, right? If we were at the museum and we're looking at a piece of art, then the same thing. Whatever. We could have two totally different takes on two totally different elements within a piece of art.
Mhm.
So it goes for this. I the fact that uh, Layla was out there in the opening, proving herself a serious combatant with the flares. That got my attention going. And again, Mark's in trouble, and she's got to bail him out yet again. So she's clearly not a damsel in distress. She's a significant player on the board. You had that. Then later on, after she takes care of these garden variety goons or mercenaries and defeats them, then she's got the zombie mummy zombie, pure mummy, this thing, and then it pulls her back in, and then she kind of escapes for a minute, then it pulls her back in again, and this thing's out on the Canapa jar. So you got a little trail of blood going, and then the guy who I thought he was one of the fake cops that Harrow had sent to the
Oh,
flat, but maybe he was, maybe he wasn't, but definitely had a beard. So that guy gets impaled. He's slicing up. Some of his organs are getting put in the one jar, then the next organ's getting put in the next jar. So that was some pretty savage stuff. So for again, the pluses that I have would include the fight choreography and sure, okay, Harrow's have been annoying. So that was maybe some necessary exposition for him to further try to drive the wedge between Layla and Mark and Steven. But let me bridge that over. Now we're in a little bit of a different territory between Mark and Steven, because clearly before with Harrow is you can't get the scarab, come get the scarab. So Mark was able to take some control of the body when Steven was primarily in control. So then Layla and Steven start to have that special kind of a moment. And to me, that the joke landed well, as did the punch. So then Mark takes control of the fist of Khonshu, and punches Steven in the face. So it's an interesting love triangle between two bodies.
yeah. So let's talk about it. Let's pick up on that, the love triangle aspect of it. Yeah, it was another case where I just felt the writing was terrible. There's the moment where they are about to rappel down into the tomb, or they're having so many of like these gazing into each other's eyes bits, and you had enough of a lead up to this relationship between Steven and Layla beforehand, but the amount of innuendos is just over the top. Yeah, it's just that she's going to go down first, or what was it, when she's attaching the apparatus onto him, the repelling gear that Steven says this is the best day of my life or something. It's just it felt very clunky. It felt very clunky.
Okay, that one I'll straight out concede. That one I won't argue against. That was not quite George Lucas love dialogue exactly, but it was not top material.
Yeah, I mean, and just picking up on something, I'm looking at my notes off to the side here, but I think you hit on so many of the core aspects. Let's talk about the violence piece, or the altar scene. That was intense. That was truly intense. You had the sound effects and the gore, the murder of that character, whomever it was. I didn't remember that he was the detective, though. Now that you say
He
it,
might have not been. He might have just been other bearded
some
dude.
some dude with a beard. Yeah, so that was truly, truly intense. The moment where Layla gets sucked in and then escapes out and then sucked in again. Yeah, that was something else for sure. And yeah, all of her fighting throughout is just amazing, amazing. Uh, but so the violence aspect was turned up a notch, and also some of the gross out factor too. Again, with the disemboweling action. But even when Mark, or no, Stephen is putting his hands into the mummy of none other than Alexander the Great to rip out that thing, kind of gross, kind of gross. So yeah, in terms of hitting the gross out factor or the yucky factor, yeah, this one hit it for sure.
And it was a little bit played for laughs, but also a little bit played for gore. I mean, because he just had to keep right to say it was the throat or the voice of Ahmet.
Mhm.
Well, sure, the thing could have been right there in the throat then, but then he's down to his elbow at the teeth. Yeah, just the idea of that, like for Steven, are more delicate of the two between Mark and Steven. That had to be kind of creepy for anybody, but like Mark would have just done what he had to do, but Steven was probably, he'll be rinsing his arm for a long, long time after that.
Yeah, so like he's monk, right?
Oh yeah, he went full monk.
Yeah. Yeah, and even on that though, like, okay, we now appreciate that Stephen, or we believe that Stephen Grant is as into archaeology as Layla, or is a good match, a good partner for her. Um, it's the mummy of Alexander the Great, and he doesn't hesitate in desecrating this mummy so that he can get the ushabi, what was the ushabti, out of the corpse. Okay,
All right.
sure.
I'll give you that would have been I could see it being written consistent with the character of Steven, that he would have really hesitated before being able to do that, or even that he would have gone beyond hesitation and not been able to do that. So in that light, I could say that they to drive the plot, or they fanboy you the whole
See, thank you. Yes, the whole episode was just clunky. Was just clunky. Uh, And another comment here from Junkyard. Yeah, yes, yes, there was. We commented on how great it was that they've incorporated other Egyptian music, Egyptian pop music, contemporary music into the show. And this episode, yeah, we didn't get, unless I missed it. I don't think we got any of that.
Here was my speculation on that. Either they were hitting such heights with the quality of music. Was this like the pause in the beat before they resume the good music for 5 and 6? Or did they totally fall off the cliff and just couldn't sustain with it? Again, varying different musical styles being included. So it's my hope that it's just the pause and they're going to come back big for 5 and 6 with the musical influences. Yet it remains possible. It was a good ride, but it's kind of dumb.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's one episode. It's one episode. The previous three were good. Strong and compelling. But I felt like actually, again, there's this tiresome aspect to it that yeah, it's kind of rubbing me funny. Um, just to pile onto this tiresome aspect thing. Uh, I didn't believe, or I was frustrated by how Arthur Harrow seems to just pop out of nowhere. Like he's always like right behind Mark and the gang, right? Mark and Layla. It, okay, sure. Maybe in the beginning I'll go with it, but then it persists throughout. So maybe that's part of the powers of Amit, of being able to do this and manifesting right there. Although it doesn't quite explain why they had to get in a bunch of jeeps and drive across the desert to get to the tomb, if that was the case. But it just sort of seems to pop out of nowhere. There was gunfire repeatedly in this tomb, and it's kind of not explained where that's coming from, or who's shooting at what, or why they. I assume it's because of the monsters and stuff, but it's kind of not explained. But the worst crime of this one was you have your two heroes together. You got Layla and Steven together, and there's the escape from the monster, right? And and then they conveniently separate. They conveniently get separated, and so that allows for Mark, or no, excuse me, Steven, to go on his adventure, find the tomb and whatever, and it conveniently allows Layla to have this moment with Arthur by themselves to explain how her father died. Okay.
All right, that was awfully convenient, and the way Harrow pops up, from week to week, from moment to moment, that is also, a convenience. Yeah, yeah.
All right, so I'm beating down on this show, and I know you like this episode. You like this episode. It's okay for us. Oh yeah, and then okay. Oh yeah. So we should get to uh, things that we should say before Mark or Steven gets shot.
Things we should topics we should cover before that point in the plot.
Did we miss anything before he gets transported to the asylum?
I think we're covered. I mean,
Okay.
we're not doing a Kevin Smith moment by moment breakdown. So
No. Yeah. So let's talk about that part. So it picks up from he gets shot, and so now the main character is killed, killed in the comic book sense of being dead. So we've now lost Moon Knight in episode 3, and we've lost Mark and Steven in episode 4, and then they are teleported into this asylum, this weird asylum thing. Mr. C, at any point did you believe, or do you believe, that this is actually reality?
No, he's not like dead, and then the whole mostly dead, completely dead business. Well, the being starting with the being shot part, then are the other two dead, and then the Jake persona is still alive. Let's see what they do with that. But well, as far as the bit of the asylum,
Yeah.
do I believe that now episodes 1 through 3 and episode 4 up to whatever the timestamp was all just a drug induced way from the, let's say, the shady character of Arthur Harrow, who's running the asylum or running the facility. No, no. But that's, at least they want you to stop and consider that for a minute. I mean, I think when we're looking at the end of episode 1 and Moon Knight's pounding the Jackal, I think that within this fictitious story, then that was definitely a real moment. I think everything else was that also, but that's so I believe then that this is the mind manipulation, a mental deception induced by Harrow himself, and then we'll have to see how does it get resolved.
When you say mind manipulation, I have in my head that Teen Titans Go to the movies.
That's exactly why I'm saying it. Oh, look, I'm bending the pencil.
Yeah, and so in the comments, yeah, my switch to watching the Golden Girls. I don't know about that. Cobra got, yeah, which got hammered in the stock market yesterday for sure.
That was bad stuff.
I didn't check today. Yeah, with the, okay, I'm gonna get this out of the way. So with the asylum bit, I my first comment about the my excuse me, our my comment about the first episode was it shouldn't work to have an MCU TV series about all these factors, including a character that has mental illness. And it kind of rubs me funny that, as I said back then, mental illness is not uncommon, and what is good about our society today is that we have more words to describe forms of mental illness, and here we get the opposite end of the spectrum, the frankly caricature of mental illness, which is that people are institutionalized. So that kind of rubs me funny, but yeah. All right, so I've said that part, and then with this episode, with the content of it, yeah, there's no reason to believe that this is actually real. And maybe that was fine. Maybe that was the intent, so that you could move on, move quickly on into episode 5. But yeah, I wasn't quite believing it. It was creative. I thought it was visually interesting, but it wasn't believable to me. Yeah.
Right. And I think they're trying to approximate what was more believable or what was more plausible through the pages in the comics. And part of how they affected that mystery within the comics was, and again, we're talking about Moon Knight Volume 8. And we just said Smallwood was the main artist. But so then for each of the different personalities or each of the different shifts, like you'd come to a page and he was going to walk through a door, or some other transition was going to come to pass, and then it would be a different persona, a different character. And it's so then in the comic page, when the page would flip, then it would be a different artist, a different inker, a different colorist. So as the transitions went, it's different to tell a story on the page, and it's different to tell the story on the screen. The way that they achieved that was, yeah, here's a whole different artist with a whole different art style, then creating this whole different atmosphere. So definitely a different thing to put that on the page than on the screen, and maybe doesn't reach the same height on the screen that it did reach within the comic pages. We'll have to see how do they continue the ideas into episode 5.
Yeah, and yeah, yes, yeah. You have more history with comics than I do, so I don't have that prior experience, or I don't have that knowledge base that they're trying to echo maybe some things that happen in the comic books. Yeah. Anyway, so I'm gonna put this comment back up because yeah, I mean, it's abundantly clear that there is some other personality in that tomb that does not open. I would assume that it's Lockley, um, but yeah, uh,
Right. And again, the security guard at the not the bank, the security guard at the museum
yeah,
was definitely referring to Stephen as Scotty. So whether that was just a nickname or a red herring, or if Jake is also going to go by Scotty or what, we'll have to hit episode 5 and 6.
well, yeah, yeah. Um, let's see what else to cover with that particular scene. I do love the meta moments. I do love the meta moments where he's got the Moon Knight action figure. That I did like.
That was pretty cool.
That was pretty cool. Um,
And just seeing all
yeah,
the different actors and actresses then from the previous episodes, there's Crawley. Crawley's not in the gold statue anymore. Crawley's there, in the facility with everybody else. There's the his supervisor from working in the museum is there, and significantly Layla's there, and so let's see what comes to pass with all of it.
yeah, yeah. Let's see. Yeah, and we want to see the big hippo god.
Yes.
Also, maybe they'll all have an adventure together. Uh, I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm just not feeling the show as much. Uh, yeah, I feel like it amplified the beat, as I already said. I feel like it amplified some of the concerns I had about the storytelling. Um, I'm now at the point where I would like to see a Layla centric show and, and be kind of done with it. I love Oscar Isaac as an actor. There is just something wrong about the writing, I think, on this show that it's taken me out of it. But, anyways, this is the most negative I think I've been on this on one of our episodes together.
We're looking to go into new territories, and so this is the territory that we find ourselves in.
I mean, I what I value about our approach to this thing is that we're generally positive. We're able to have a healthy discussion. Here's the stuff that I liked, and we'll focus on that. And in this case, I can't get myself out of the yeah, this writing kind of sucks. So I don't know what to do with it. But again, I'm still gonna stick around, right? I'm not gonna rage quit. I'm not gonna cancel my Disney Plus subscription. I'm excited to see the conclusion, and yeah, I'm in for the ride, and I will look forward to Ms. Marvel starting up very soon. Uh, but oh yeah, and just in the comments, yeah, different styles really tells a story in a visual way. And oh yeah, see, and that's not uncommon actually, because in looking at Twitter, some folks were acknowledging they're not jiving with the series, that the series is not resonating with them. I don't think it's unusual. Yeah, we don't talk about Bruno. Yeah, and Junkyard writes, I think it's just the direction and scene combinations. Not sure it's envisioning what the writers wrote based on the previous. Yeah, I think that's right. Again, it was tone. There were so many elements that were structurally different than the previous 3 episodes. You had that definite cinematic feel in the first episode, right? You could see how if it was crafted differently, that you could have turned this into a feature length film. In this case, in episode 4, yeah, with all the exposition, it felt like it was like chewing time a bit without being a coherent payoff. It just yeah, and so maybe that's it. Maybe that's it. Just because it was so different from the previous episodes, that's now tossing me further out.
Maybe it's I don't want to say new, but another variation on the Aquaman movie criticism. It was too much movie, too many different elements coming together. And then I would say maybe a similar critique would be that when an actual comic book is running late on the deadline, and instead of just a regular artist, you get maybe so many pages from the one artist, so many pages from the other, and there was no cohesion, or there was no, the character looks different on page 2, the character looks totally different on page 18, and that's totally separate from what they did in volume 8, where it was organized and strategic in playing with that which is real, that which is not real. So yeah, when you get disparate elements that are not woven well together, sure, we get some measure of clunky.
Well, and that is also some of the criticism for the Book of Boba Fett, right? In that you had multiple different directors on that property. There's an entire stretch which didn't even have Boba Fett in it, despite being the Book of Boba Fett. But in that series, I, for myself at least, I still enjoyed it. Although some people were thrown off by that. Some people were genuinely
Way
not.
different zone.
Yeah. Um, yeah, the first 2 episodes were grabbing me. 3 and 4 were the nail in the tomb of the downward spiral.
Well
And
stated, Al. Well stated.
yeah, and they should have made it. See, I don't disagree with that at all. There is a way to tell the story, I think, in a engaging and tighter way that it could have this could have been better served in the theaters. Um, Hey, and you shared with us some additional bits uh,
So
about Moon Knight.
yeah, there we go.
Oh, there we are.
Let me do this. So in this house, Fortnite is probably currently a very frequently, maybe a few hours on any given day can get devoted to Fortnite around here. So then they drop their Moon Knight stuff.
Mm.
So I haven't seen it in gameplay yet. Maybe that's a thing for me tomorrow, or probably not so much later tonight. But so just interesting that there's the depictions and interpretations, and of course, Mr. Knight made it in also, and then the TV series accurate, definitely not the comic accurate Crescent Darts are available in the game. So whoever is out there that's all over the Fortnite stuff, there you have it. There's Moon Knight's coming to Fortnite. Now, maybe some others of us need to get to the paperweight store to get together with a Pyramid Paperweight. But it's just neat. You look around the Marvel Legends merchandise, the T-shirts that are out there. It's just some episodes may be better than other episodes, but it's still putting Moon Knight on the map. And in putting Moon Knight on the map, whether you're in Amazon or a Hot Topic or an online or a brick and mortar, there's plenty of. Sure. Now we got Mandarin one, Travolta stuff. Now we got. Anyway, it's nice that Moon Knight is getting a wider audience, and again, let's see how what kind of a note episodes 5 and 6 will bring.
I'm going to toss in another question for you. I know we want to wrap up, but I'm going to toss in another question for you. So, based on what we now know about how Layla's father was murdered, is there any redemption where Mark and Layla come together? Can that be mended at all? Because Layla, lays into him of, well, you didn't kill him, but you did bring your
guy to him, and then the guy did it.
And then the guy.
In the comics, the character's name is Bushman, and I'm going to take a brief divergence here. Now learning that Doug Mensch was a Chicago-raised person, it's entirely possible. This is speculative. This is not a confirmation of anything, but one of the more historically famous gorillas at the Lincoln Park Zoo was Bushman. So it's entirely possible he named the character after the gorilla. So that was my divergent tangent. But to come back to the thing, they really got, again, talking about clunky writing and not clunky writing. We need some non-clunky, spot-on writing to thread the needle, I don't know, we can do flashbacks. We don't want a mind manipulation on Layla to allow her or to influence her to continue to be part of Team Mark or Team Steven or what have you. But I don't want to. Yeah, they really have to show that it was somehow not that bad, or that Mark really tried to do something towards saving her father that he hasn't yet commented on to make it more redeemable. But if not, it's not so good.
It's not so good. And so actually maybe this is an example where the writing was strong of making this awful situation brought concocting this awful situation and bringing it to life on the TV show. Yeah, it would now, because she turns it up a level in that how they got together was because of his conscience, and it's his conscience, right? That's how that's how they connected, and then they became married and all of that. So it's as though the foundation of their relationship is based on his own selfish guilt, and
Yeah, that's a
I
lot. That's a lot.
that's a lot. So I don't know. I'm actually hoping that they don't get together here because of that. Um, but
No,
anyway,
but Steven had nothing to do with any of that. So yeah,
yeah, does it work that way? I don't know. Yeah.
maybe
Well, if you are watching later, please post in the comments because we would love to continue the discussion with you. Maybe you, maybe you're somewhere in between, Mr. C and I, on your feelings about this episode.
not.
Yeah, maybe you're more like Mr. C. Maybe you're a little more like me. Maybe you're further off the edge than I am. But post in the comments. Yeah, and there are only 2 episodes left, so looking forward to it. All right. Well, Mr. C, thanks for tonight.
All right, but do we want to comment on our next, since since our art director typically asks when's our next show, what's next? Do we want to comment on that now, or we'll
yeah,
save that for another time?
No, we should do that now because when else are we going to do it?
Well,
So join us on Saturday. This Saturday, what is the 23rd, right? I think at 7 o'clock Pacific time, where we will have our first ever guest of Casual Crafter, and I am really looking forward to this.
That would be 8 p.m. Crafters time, and
That's right.
Good old 9 p.m. Central. I suppose we could go ahead and say 10 on the other coast as well. But yeah, hey, it's kind of exciting. Crafter's been in the comments. We've looked at Crafter's channel. If you haven't, and there are a couple of channels that are Casual Crafter, but we're talking about the one that does custom jobs on Migos and maybe runs into an old school Evel Knievel at the South by Southwest convention, and then posts a video of Evel Knievel bouncing all around the hallway in the hotel room. So yeah, we're looking to do different stuff, and it'll be we're hoping people will enjoy. Come check us out Saturday night and see what Crafter has to show for the crafts that Crafter has completed.
Nicely done. All right. Well, thank you so much for watching. And if you're watching live, thank you for posting live in the comments. We appreciate it. And if you're watching later, thanks so much. All right. Take care. Thank you, Mr. C. Thank you all. Have a good night. This has been the Fanboy Cantina.